So, this is a topic that even I have a little trouble explaining, but I do like to talk about it because I feel like I have changed enough on it. You know what I mean? So, I got the GarageBand going right now, and I also have my camera going and it's recording its own audio. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but we'll see what happens. So, the thing that I'm talking about is change. The big question I'm asking me, nobody else, is because apparently everybody's content with their lives. The question is, what's next? I don't care that you have a house or that you have kids or that you're traveling all over the place. That has been done before. The question is, what is next? Nobody has come up with a different formula. It's go to school, go to work, repeat until you make six figures, and barely have time to live in the house that you bought. But that's no different than an artist who can make up to $92 million dollars a year, listen to their music, and they say they haven't seen their house all year. So I'm talking about the weekend specifically there. I thought that he made a lot more money. He's my favorite artist. You know what I mean? I thought that he made a lot more money. But he's made $92 million dollars in a single year. That's according to Forbes. That was in 2017. And then in 2019, he only earned 40 million. And they said that that was from brand deals with Puma and Bacardi. So, like, I guess when he doesn't make music, he makes less. But when he makes music, he's making more. So then I remember that they were saying that there was a rapper that was making the most amount of money, and it's Jay Z. So I looked him up real quick, and uh, you know his net worth is estimated at 2.5 billion as of 2024 or early 2025. So then I was like, nah, I don't want that number. How much do you make in a year? And he's reportedly made $340 million dollars in 2021. So that is about three times more than what the weekend made. And I don't even know what Jay Z does, honestly. Like, I'm sitting here wondering, what does this dude do other than just look iconic? You know what I mean? Like he's just, apparently he's making moves. Apparently he knows what he's doing in business, but is that enough? Obviously not, because nothing has changed. Nobody has discovered anything new. He's just doing the same thing as anybody else is doing. He's just shooting for the top, just like anybody else would do. But he's not really changing. It's not like he's terraforming Mars or anything like that. They make it sound like they are living their life, but really they are just workaholics with more money. So nothing changes. A homeless person doesn't even see a house. So you're homeless, but with just a lot more money. Something's got to change because it's getting boring. It's the same recycled stuff. Change something. I'm not impressed. You have a Gucci bag, somebody else has it. What makes you different? That's what I'm saying with Jay Z. Like, what makes this dude different? I bet you nobody can answer that question. It's going to be like, well, he's the first black man to be a billionaire, and he's the first artist to reach that much money. Eventually somebody was going to do it. They just gave you the pathway to do it. And then basically you did it the same way as somebody else did it, like the Rockefellers and the other rich people. Like, how did they do it? They were just smart businessmen, okay? They know how to screw with people. They know the ins and out better than anybody else, but do they ever share it? Do they ever distribute anything that's like helpful for everybody, that touches everybody on the spectrum? Like, you have Jay-Z kind of came out with a streaming platform, and apparently it was supposed to make more money for the artists. And the monthly rate for his streaming platform was so much money that only certain people can pay for it, and a lot of people don't even use it, but enough people use it so that it's profitable. So you're paying like I think the it's at 20, it starts at $20, and then it probably goes up from there because everybody has different staggering levels of what to pay for stuff. I was gonna look that up, but I should be more a little bit more comfortable, and let me just look that up real quick. How much does title cost? So the individual plan, oh, he lowered it because before it was much more money. Right now it's 10.99 a month, and the student plan is $5.49. The family plan is 16.99. So I didn't even know that. I tried out Tidal a few years ago, and I listened to their lo-fi playlist, and I'm telling you that lo-fi had a little bit more beat to it, and it was really nice. But the thing that is different about me is that I don't just want Tidal. I want Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music. I want all three of them. So like you're probably asking me like, all right, if you're asking what are these guys doing different, what are you doing different? You know what I mean? Like let's see you put your balls on the table and let's see what happens. And so like what did I do in life? I worked a 9 to 5, then I started selling weed, then I experimented with drugs, then I met God, and I think I have superpowers now. So that is different. That is something like that you don't hear often. You know what I mean? It's like, what did you do? And who did you meet? Like, and that's essentially what I'm saying. Like, these people, I can't say it enough. It gets boring. You know, if you're not looking, you would never notice. Like you just have people that are content with where they're at. And me and Anya had an argument about what's the difference between content and happiness. And she said there's no difference. And I said that I believe that there's a difference because you can be content with something, but not be happy with it. That's what I think. You know what? Let's look at the definition of content. So, oh, so it is the same. So content is in a state of peaceful happiness. So peaceful happiness, like you're at peace and you're less bitter, you're in happiness. So I kind of separated the two. I was like, you can be content and then you can be happy. Now, I think there is still a difference because let's see the definition of happy. So the definition of happy is feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Even contentment is in that definition. So maybe I was wrong, but let me explain what I was saying. You can be content and you can work a 9 to 5 job and be content, but you'll never know what it feels like to not have a job and get paid. So you will always be okay with what you're given. You're never really happy. You don't know what happiness is. So that's where I get a different point of view in that. Something may change the world and how we look at it. I worked over 40 jobs now and I'm doing social media. We've watched our parents have kids. We've watched people become that president 47 times. We watch the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, but there's only so much poor there is. You live on the street, bam, poor. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen that. The rich get rich. We've seen millionaires and billionaires. Then it's going to be trillionaires. Like, we have already seen these people. And you're wondering if there was ever a trillionaire before. Well, yeah, it's called inflation, dude. Like the Rockefellers, they were already trillionaires. Like if you count the amount of money that they made in their time versus now, they were trillionaires. You know what I mean? So, what can I do that would be different than anybody else? You want someone that isn't afraid to do the right thing, a person that won't gatekeep because there's so many lies swimming out there. So, what's the point of lying even more when there's so much lies out there? Why not tell the truth? And that's where a lot of people get lost because a lot of smart people do this. They gatekeep. They don't tell everything. They're like, I'm doing this, and this is my private thing, and nobody else is going to get out of here. Because we've been taught that, okay, if you have a husband or wife, you're supposed to block out everybody else and you're supposed to focus on that one person, and that's how you find pure happiness. So we follow that dynamic. It's like, all right, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to go to parties anymore. I'm going to stop doing certain things so that I can keep this person happy. And what that what that generally does is that makes you gatekeep because you're not being yourself anymore. You're being somebody completely different. You're being somebody that you can be because the world is asking it from you. The society is asking this from you. It's like, what, we want to see you succeed, and this is how everybody succeeds. We're going to give you the blueprint. Everybody can follow the blueprint. Let's see what you get out of it, because the blueprint, it ends everybody the same way. You know, you either have a good job, you have a family, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a house, you have a car, you have all those things. That's what the blueprint gives you. You know what I mean? That's why they start you off at school. We're going to start you off at a in a general location that is supposed to propel you to the end. And like, everybody has a different blueprint, but it depends on what you follow. But is it really like that? You know what I mean? Like, since you give everybody the same blueprint and everybody gets something different from it, doesn't that mean that we're individuals? Doesn't that mean that we're a little bit different? You know what I mean? So why do we treat everybody the same, but everybody is different? You know what I mean? So that's why I have a lot of trouble with the jailing system and the schooling system and the work system. I have real big problems with them because it's only made for a single type of person. You know what I mean? They categorize you and then they push you into that direction. If you are bad in school, they push you to a 9 to 5 job that only pays minimum wage. They generalize you, and that's all you get from the world. So I'm talking about, how can we change that whole system? What is going to change? You know what I mean? And that's why I like to say powers, because it's something that you don't think about, something that nobody talks about. It's it's made for a set of people, and that set of people get tossed away to the side of everybody else. You know what I mean? Like the schizophrenics, the bipolars, the grandiose delusions. All those people get pushed aside, and they're just labeled as crazy. But what if they're not crazy? You know what I mean? So every person has their own, you know, every person has, what am I trying to say here? Every person has their own skill. And, if you figure out what that skill is, then you can utilize that person. But what we've done is that we've seen certain people and we've just dictated them as failures, and we do nothing else with them. We kind of look away from them. You know what I mean? So we're wondering, like, So I'm wondering, like, how can I put those people into play? Those people that have been cast out, how can I put them into play? So this is kind of a little bit off the chart, but like my goal is to become an accountant. Sounds crazy, but someone that manages money. You know what I mean? Imagine someone that isn't the best with money managing money. That is basically everyone you see. The thing about people that make money is that they get it and refuse to spend it. Or are they refusing? Or do they just not know what to do with it? So, can I really blame Jay Z for shooting to the top and not looking back? Because why should you look back? You know what I mean? Like, if I look back, what is there to see? What am I going to get from that? And usually you feel like you're not going to get anything. And that is it sucks, but it's definitely true for that person at that moment. Like you would ask yourself, would I do what that person did? And the answer will probably be yes, because you're programmed. Now, if you can change that programming, what can you get? So that's what I feel like I've done. You know, they tell us not to do certain things, and then later on they become legal, and then they're like, you could do it in moderation, but don't go too crazy with it. And if you do it, here are the consequences of what you do. So that's why I feel like there is just like a new league of people that are coming up. You know what I mean? It is the psychedelics. The psychedelics are going to change the map. You know what I mean? Like, people don't see the positives of it. Like, yes, you may get a mental illness from it, but now we know how to trigger that mental illness. Now we're a little bit further down the line, and not many people see it like that. They're like, no, no, no. If you get mental illness from it, we should block it out and ignore it and never look back at it. But we have these people that are fighting for it, and they're grabbing for it. They're grabbing for it. And everybody's saying no, no, no. But people are grabbing for it, and they're making headlines. You know what I mean? So that's what I was talking about in the last video. Why do we treat them so differently? And what is wrong with the way that we treat them? Why do we treat them like that? And that comes into the idea of oppression. Like, what would you do to a certain set of people if you wanted to oppress them, put them in jail, label them as troublemakers, catch them when they're young, have rules set aside for them specifically to deal with them, and then later on go for the bigger fish. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what they're doing right now. They're just going for the bigger fish. You know, they're not really trying to help anybody out. It's just a way to deal with a problem that they seem to have with us. So I'm going to be talking about that a lot. And hopefully it gains traction. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you think you have? And it's like, yo, dude, I have powers. And it's like, why? Why do you think you have powers? I'm like, well, I can show you some ways that I work. And the way you treat us so differently that you have to believe something crazy. You know what I mean? Like, just think about it. It's like, bro, this kid can't work. Why can't this kid work? Oh, he has schizophrenia. Okay, he can't work because he has schizophrenia. Yeah, and we have to pay him for it. And it's like, okay, he has schizophrenia, and I have to pay for him to live throughout this life. It's like, yeah, because he can't work. And everybody kind of just nods their head and they're like, okay, okay, he has problems. And everybody just looks at you and they're like, you just have problems. That's all we understand from this whole situation. We don't really care. You have problems, so here's a little help. We're not going to help everybody out the same way. It depends on the working system and all that. And that makes me wonder, why do they treat these certain people the way that they treat them? Where is this coming from? Where did these rules come from? Where that said that, oh, okay, if this person gets this specific disease, we have to help them. So that makes me feel 100% special. I don't care what anybody says. That's like, you're targeting me. And it's like, yeah, you are targeted. We notice some things that happen with people like you. So we have to help you. And, you know, when we help you, what you're going to do, you're going to have all this free time, and you've been conditioned to work your whole life. And we're trying to tell you not to work anymore. And it's just like, no, that's not. How is that going to happen? How is that going to happen? I'm going to go crazy. And it's like, no, you're not going to go crazy. And just think about it. It's just like oppression to the nth degree. Like, what did I just do to this kid? What did I just turned his whole world around. His whole life, he's been working towards working the whole time. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a job. Okay, I'm going to be I don't know what I want to be, but I want to make a lot of money. All right, cool. All right, now it's high school. Okay, I kind of want a girlfriend. And what does a girlfriend entail? Like, oh, I have someone with me for the rest of my life. Yeah, I can do this. I like this upgrade. You're getting upgraded here and there. They're like, something new here. Here's something new there. And you're just grabbing onto it. You're like, yeah, 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 this is awesome. This is awesome. And then they tell you, okay, you can't use those tools that we've been teaching you. Now you have to go through life and possibly not have a girlfriend at all, but then you're going to have all this free time. And with this free time, you can do whatever you want, just don't get in trouble. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try this out. Why are you treating me like this, by the way? Oh, because you have this problem. And they present it to you as a problem. And I'm trying to change that around and say that I don't think it is a problem. I don't think that schizophrenia is a problem. May has said this a bunch of times to me, and she's like, I think you peer into like basically a different dimension, and you don't have good footing here. So you need all the rest that you can get. You need all the free time that you can get. You can't work for a specific reason because you are in these different dimensions. You're looking into these different dimensions. You're channeling these different dimensions, and you can't really cope with it. So it's like, I think you see the world differently now. And it's like, no, that's actually true. I do see the world differently now. Absolutely. It definitely did change. My perspective of a lot of things started to change. Now, granted, I can't do anything about my feelings, unfortunately, but now I know that I've dealt with an ex before, and now I know that all it takes is time away from that person to not feel as rocky. And do you even want to deal with that person is the next question that comes up. And do you ever want to deal with the person? And if you can't work a general job, what can you do? And it starts to like smash together. That's going to be a different topic, bro. But yeah, like, what's next in life? Like, what is next? Because we're bored. I'm bored. I don't get it anymore. Like, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs, just like, I'm done, guys. I finished. I finished when I was 21 years old. Apparently, the whole world is telling me to take a knee and just relax. for the rest of the time. You're on the bench for the rest of life. And I can't accept that. I think I just ran out of. Did my phone just die? I think my phone just died. But yeah, like, what was I saying? What's different? We're getting bored. And that's basically it, guys. I'm going to make a podcast version of this, and then I'm going to make a video version of this. But I think my phone just died, so I have to double check that. That would suck if my phone died. That would be a 25-minute recording that just got bombed. But I think that I should start doing this where I'm recording and filming at the same time, because you never know what's going to happen to one or the other. This was a good idea. This was a good idea. So I'm going to end it there. I think that was a good talk. I enjoyed that. Thanks, guys. I hope you follow and listen more.